Halloween season is upon us once again. For today's video, we're opening the lid on one of the most bizarre and spook-worthy story from history. That time when witches supposedly used magic to combat Adolf Hitler and the Nazis. In the heart of World War II, a secret operation unfolded, one that defied conventional warfare. It was a battle waged not with guns and bombs, but with spells and incantations. We're going to delve into the mysterious tale of Operation Cone of Power, the audacious attempt by witches to halt Hitler's invasion of England. Let's figure out the real deal with what truly happened in this time. Did members of the occult really congregate to cast a gigantic magic spell to drive out Hitler? Did magic really change the course of World War II? We'll examine all that and more as we dive right into the electrifying anecdote about Operation Cone of Power, a story that combines the brutality of war with the mysticism of magic, and it's one that deserves to be told. Here's to history. We're glad you could join us for some fascinating facts about how witches took on the Nazis in World War II and uncover the truth behind Operation Cone of Power. We hope you'll like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can bring you more entertaining history lore. The year was 1940. World War II began just a year prior, and yet it still seemed like there was no sign of a ceasefire anytime soon. The Nazi war machine had spread its dark wings across the continent, leaving destruction and despair in its wake. Europe was in utter chaos during this period, as many territories were seized by Hitler's armies. By mid-1940, Germany had already defeated and occupied Poland, Denmark, Norway, Belgium, Luxembourg, and France. Britain, a lone island nation, stood defiant, but the threat of invasion loomed large. Just weeks after the life-saving rescue and escape of the British Army from the shores of Dunkirk in the summer of 1940, the United Kingdom braced for the onslaught of a massive-scale German invasion. They knew Hitler would not take their narrow escape lightly and would retaliate in the harshest way possible. Operation Sea Lion was the code word the Nazis used for their planned invasion. After capturing France, Hitler assumed that Winston Churchill would ask for terms. But to his surprise, Britain rejected Hitler's offer of a negotiated peace settlement. So Hitler moved Operation Sea Lion forward. He ordered for an immediate invasion to prevent the British Army from recovering from the Dunkirk defeat. His target was to occupy Britain by the 10th of August in 1940. The threat of invasion was real and terrifying. The British people braced for the worst. The south coast of Britain faced the most immediate danger. Towns and villages protected the coast with sandbags, barricades, and barbed wire. Hitler focused his target over the English Channel and 6 proposed landing sites. He knew that Germany could only capture the UK through airstrikes and naval attacks. Despair began to take hold of the Britons as the German forces prepared to launch their attack. But amidst the chaos and desolation, the unlikeliest group of locals came prepared to fight alongside the British Army. A group of courageous women and men, witches and occultists, banded together to hold the fort and drive Hitler and his army away using their own special kind of weapon, magic rituals. In the early 20th century, witchcraft and pagan practices had been reawakened in some parts of Britain. While Christianity had permeated much of Europe and the United Kingdom, a new movement was rising that started to propagate magic and the occult once again. This was known as Wicca, a neo-pagan religion that developed in England by secretive covens, which is a group of 13 witches. One of modern Wicca's founders, Gerald Gardner, detailed the extraordinary story of the witches' fight against Hitler in his 1954 book, Witchcraft Today. He narrated how his coven of witches and magical practitioners banded together for what has been tagged with a mock military codename, Operation Cone of Power. Their goal? To harness the energy of the earth and direct it toward stopping the Nazi regime. This was their weapon, an act of defiance rooted in both belief and tradition. In Wiccan lore, the Cone of Power is a metaphysical form of ritual magic that would raise energy to achieve a specific goal. It represents the energy field created by a group of witches working together. It's often visualized as a pyramid-shaped energy field that grows stronger as more people join in and focus their intentions. Witches also believed that collective energy harnessed right could influence reality. A little before midnight on the 1st of August, 1940, which was the eve of Lammas Day, a harvest festival that was an important day for Wiccans, A secretive coven met at an ancient forest at the town of Highcliffe-on-Sea. The idea was to focus their energies, channeling them toward the protection of Britain and the thwarting of Hitler's ambitions. Gardner relayed that the magical assault against the Nazis was drawn from the witches' secret traditions. In fact, Gardner detailed how occultists had managed to thwart attempted invasions on Britain twice, first in 1588 against the Spanish Armada, and next in 1805 against Napoleon Bonaparte and his army. As Gardner described in his book, witches did cast spells to stop Hitler landing after France fell. They met, raised the great cone of power, and directed the thought at Hitler's brain, "You cannot cross the sea," just as their great-grandfathers had done to Bonaparte and their remoter forefathers had done to the Spanish Armada. Their spells were designed to target Hitler's mind, weakening his resolve and sowing confusion among his ranks. Despite undertaking major preparations for the British invasion, the German army and navy, for some reason, never launched an official takeover of British shores. Hitler suddenly halted Operation Sea Lion on the 17th of September 1940. Throughout World War II, Operation Sea Lion was never put into action. Does this mean Operation Cone of Power might have played a big part in this? This is what Gardner had to say. "I am not saying that they stopped Hitler. All I say is that I saw a very interesting ceremony performed with the intention of putting a certain idea into his mind. And although the invasion barges were ready, the fact was that Hitler never even tried to come." While Britain managed to fend off the Nazis from its shores, Operation Cone of Power is never officially mentioned in history books. The only eyewitness account of this bizarre event comes from Gardner himself. A couple of biographies into Gardner's life back up the historical account of Operation Cone of Power. The first one was the 1960 book Gerald Gardner Witch from J.L. Bracelin, but thought to be ghost-written by Sufi master Idris Shah, who knew Gardner personally. The second book, Witchfather, published more recently in 2012 by Wiccan practitioner Philip Heselton, even adds in more details. Heselton infers that 17 people actually took part in Operation Cone of Power. In the 1970s, a writer by the name of Amado Crowley disputed Gardner's claims. Crowley, who said he was the son of the famous British occultist Aleister Crowley, claimed that Gardner's version of the story was derived from witnessing a real wartime ritual carried out by his father, Aleister. Philip Heselton and another British historian, Ronald Hutton, however, are wary of Amado Crowley's version of events. Hutton's witchcraft book, The Triumph of the Moon, presents the personal diaries of Aleister Crowley, which have never mentioned anything about a supposed son nor any wartime activities or rituals. Hutton also mentioned that while there is no absolute proof of Operation Cone of Power taking place the way Gardner narrated it to be, Gardner's account does provide an opportunity to showcase the patriotism of the witches during such a dark time in Britain. Take note, Gardner had published his book in the 1950s, a period wherein British media often associated neo-pagan witchcraft with ritual murder and Satanism. Hutton believes that Gardner might have wanted the people to have a change of heart for witches and occultists. Rather than just seeing them as society's enemy, maybe Gardner wanted everyone to see that witches can also contribute to the higher good. Whether their magic had a direct impact on the outcome of the failed Nazi invasion of Britain is a matter of debate, even until today. Some historians argue that the witches' efforts were merely a symbolic act of defiance, while others believe that their ritual played a crucial role in disrupting Hitler's plans. Regardless, Operation Cone of Power will always remain to be a fascinating and enigmatic chapter in the annals of history of World War II. Thanks for watching this remarkable tale about the coven of witches who fought Hitler and his armies with a magical energy field. We're curious to hear your thoughts. Do you think Operation Cone of Power really happened? And if it did it stop Hitler in his plans? So here's to history. We're excited to bring more captivating history topics, so hit that like button and subscribe to our channel to be in the know. See you next time.